have struggled with working with chunky glitter gel polishes, this video is going to be for you. Hey everyone, it's Talia here. Welcome back to another video on my channel. Today I have another KoKo and Claire recently released collection from this past month. This is the Take Me Away collection. 5 really pretty sparkle gel polishes. So some of the sparkle gel polishes from KoKo and Claire have a little bit of a thicker consistency because they are very, very chunky glitters, which I appreciate because then they are quite a bit sparklier. But I know I've had many comments from you guys asking how to work with these type of gel polishes, and that's what this video is going to be. These 5 colors as my color inspiration, we are going to come up with a nail set. So far I'm leaning towards something kind of vacation-y, mermaid-y. I recently did a video about how I create nail sets featuring some new stamping products, and the feedback that I got from all of you on that video was so good that you guys really enjoyed seeing my thought process of it, that I thought I would do the exact same thing with this collection that KoKo and Claire released. I'm also going to work on these shorter nails too. I know many of you that work with KoKo and Claire, being a DIY brand, likely have shorter nails and probably would like some tips on working with short nails, as well as these glitters that might be a little bit thicker. So let's do that here. So I really like these ones here for like a really fun mermaid design. So I think that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. And this one we can incorporate in it as well. I'm leaning towards putting my mermaid colors on these 2 nails and then leaving these as my accent fingers. And then if I was working on like actual hands too, I would make whatever I did the pinky the same as the thumb. $2.93 and then $2.97 for the blue and the green in the collection. Okay, so when you're looking at these right out of the container, you'll notice that they are a little bit thicker. Now that's something that I really like about KoKo and Claire, not so much that they're thicker, but that they pack a lot of glitter in their gel polishes, because there are some gel polishes that I have tried that are nowhere near as sparkly as these, but that kind of comes at a price. Gel polish is designed to be applied in a nice thin coat, and if you want to have a lot of glitter on that, it's going to thicken the bottles up, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to take quite a bit of this glitter off because I want kind of a fun marble. I'm just going to apply these randomly on the nail here. And when you're working with these, I want to say this really loosely, like super loosely. I kind of float them because they are a little bit thicker. If you paint these on, you're going to pull away all of that glitter, but if you kind of push them where you want them to go, then you're not going to pull all those glitters away. But then you can end up with them a little bit too thick too. So you definitely want to work that out. Now usually if I'm working with like a glitter hard gel, I would probably put some chunky glitters in with it just to make it pop a little bit more. But I definitely find with the KoKo and Claire ones like this that you just don't need to do that because there's so much glitter in here. Plus you're working on like a short gel polish nail, so you don't want them to be too thick. When you're working close to the cuticle, especially if you're newer or you're doing your own nails, sometimes I find it a little bit easier to use a dotting tool, and I'm a big fan of dotting tools. There's so much you can do with them. So KoKo and Claire recently launched this one. It's got a medium-sized head and then a large head on the other side. I do find this one to be a little bit big. I would ideally like a little bit of a smaller one, but you can kind of drag your glitter close to the cuticle with this. And you can kind of push and pull where you want it. You'll notice that I'm doing like little swirl motions because I find that a little bit easier to swirl the glitter where you want it. This hand, the sidewall, is like more like a real life sidewall. The glitter, you can just, same thing, you can kind of push it, but you can also drag it a little bit easier with the brush. If you get any product where you don't want it, sometimes I'll take my nail and just do it, but if you're doing your own hand, it's kind of hard to do that. This is one of my favorite brushes from Clear Jelly Stamper. It is their cleanup brush. It's the pink one. They have 2 different ones. They have a pink one and they have a teal one, or pink and blue, I think. I prefer the pink one. For some reason, like the stiffness of it just works so much better, I find, for cleaning up your cuticles. Whenever I marble, I like to have a little bit of product on my brush. That way it kind of, you can move things around. Now keep in mind, glitter is not easy to marble. But usually a glitter gel or a glitter gel polish, wherever you put the glitter down, it's gonna stay there. Like, it generally doesn't move. So it doesn't swirl into each other, but all I'm trying to do is just create a little bit more dimension by marbling these a little bit. I think I might do something different on this one. Okay, let's make it look like sand and ocean. So we're gonna take this color. This is number 294, Take Me to Tuscany. It's a really nice, kind of like rose gold glitter. It's got some of that holographic glitter in it as well. This is what it would look like matte, which is really cool. And I think I want to use this one. And we're going to create like a little bit of a beach right here. Start with our cuticles because I find it easier to work with your cuticles first and drag versus trying to like get in there if you paint your free edge first, which is kind of what you found me struggling with that one. But I mean, it's doable. It's just, if we plan properly, we can do the easy part first. Okay, and I am just going to do my outline. So I want it to go about here. There we go. Let's get some of that green going in here too. I really like this green because it's got some matte feel to it too, but it's also got the holographic chunks in it too. It's pretty unique. I really like that green one. And I'm going to take my brush here and just outline around the sidewall here. This sidewall is really tricky because it kind of comes up over the nail, which is a little bit more realistic. I like that about it, but you do have to kind of maneuver your products into it then. Okay, and I am gonna cure that. You probably could go in and do like your beachy type of scene with this product, but I am just gonna cure that. And again, I'm pushing, I am not painting, but don't work too thick because you will make your nails thicker. You do not need very much of these glitter gel polishes, that is for sure. And when I get closer to the sidewalls, because it is a little tricky to kind of paint them, I'm just going to put some product there, and then same thing, I'm going to take my little palette again, put a tiny bit on there. You do not need much. You could use that dotting tool trick that I told you, but I'm actually finding it a little bit easier to use this brush. This is the Detail #1 brush. I've used both of their recent art release brushes, and I really like this one. I've used it for painting longer lines. I've used it for doing some detailed hand painting that you guys are going to see in a video coming up on Thursday. And this is the one that I tend to gravitate towards, I'm finding. I want to create some bubbles here. Now, truthfully, you guys, I've done this technique before, but I honestly cannot really remember how to do it. So you're just gonna hang out with me while I try and figure it out again. So in this bowl, I just have a bunch of soap. I didn't have dish soap, but I think dish soap would work better. I'm gonna blow in here so that I can make like a bunch of bubbles kind of come out. I wish Rose was here. She would love doing this. Bright White from KoKo and Claire is frosting, number 49. This is a great white. Like, it is super, super bright, very, very pigmented. You just have to, because it's so pigmented, just watch when you cure it, and then make sure you're working really thin with it too. Okay, I'll wipe off quite a bit of it, and then I just want my bubbles to go here. I'm just going to do a thin little layer there and place them on the nails. And I'm actually going to use my fancy little curing light here to cure instead of taking it off. Hopefully that'll create more of that bubble effect. I feel like this is an example of where you might want to just like restart it, but you know what? No, we're going to work with this. We're going to make it because it worked over here. Let's make it work. You can always work with whatever nail art you come up with. Like, you don't overly have to erase things very often. Okay, let's try this again. Bring that light over here. Any of that kind of water that's on there. And this is super, super bright here. I don't want it to be like that kind of pigmented. I think I would recommend almost using like a milky white to do this instead of a bright white. That probably would have worked a bit better. But I don't like how white it is over here. So I'm just going to take some of my gel polish and just kind of cover up some of those bubbles a little bit. There's sand here, but I don't want to ruin the ones that like actually do look like bubbles. The nice thing about these is they have like a colored base to them, so when you're doing this, for example, where you're kind of just pulling the product out, it leaves some of that like stained base behind too for this sort of art technique, so that's kind of neat. On both the pointer and pinky finger, I'm going to be using this Tuscany color. I pick it up and then I wipe off one side of the brush on the container here. And so I've got a little tiny bit of a bead here. And wipe the majority of it off closer to the free edge. And I'm just going to go close to the cuticle here. And I'll show you guys what it looks like if you just paint it. You're going to pull some of those glitters off. And it's not too bad. Like you could work in a thin coat like that. That would definitely work with it. But if you keep going over top of it, you're just going to keep pulling more of that glitter off. Now there's a couple things that you can do. You can just work a little bit thicker, or you could use a sponge technique. So I'd cure this. I have this tool. I honestly cannot remember where I got it from. I want to say it was like Amazon or something. I almost want to say that Clear Jelly Stamper has something like this though, but it's just like a little tool that I like to use these type of wipes for. That way I can kind of sponge a little bit easier than just using the sponge. Like it's a little bit more precise. Polish and then just kind of sponge it on. The nice thing about the KoKo and Claire ones though is they do have that color base, so it'll definitely get some more of that color on it and there won't be as many gaps. Some of the gel polishes that are out there that are just more of a clear base, you're going to see a lot more of that clear going through too. I'm just going to do the majority of the product in the middle of the nail, and then I'm going to take my little brush and paint around the sides. Especially if you have smaller nail beds, you'll want to do this. That way you're not getting gel polish all over your skin or anything too. I'd originally planned for this nail to be the same as this one, but I don't think I want that to be the case. I'm gonna do the exact same technique that I did for the middle finger. I'm just going to do the art on top of it a little bit different. This is one of my favorite products from KoKo and Claire, and it is their Strong, because they are all a little bit lumpy and bumpy. So if you were to go in with your top gloss right now, you would feel that kind of lumpy and bumpiness, which is actually something that you could do, because you could go in with your matte top coat, and if there's anything that you wanted to kind of file out, you could definitely do that as well. But some of these nails, like this ring finger one, I really am going to have to do a little bit more filing than usual. So I'm going to take my Strong. Now Strong is a little bit thicker, and I like to go in and paint like a really thin layer down first. And then if I was working on like an actual human person, this is where I would kind of take a little bit more of my product on my nail, and I would build this up just like you would with like a gel nail that you were encapsulating glitter with too. And I'm just using this brush to kind of move everything around where I want it. If you're finding that it's getting too thick in different areas, you can just turn your hand upside down, and that's going to pool the gel into the center of the nail here. But this gives me something to file and shape before I go in with my artwork, and this is also going to make those glitters nice and smooth and not rough to the touch after we have filed it too. Because I have a lot of art going on here, it's going to be a little bit more chunky, so I'm going to do the exact same thing with this nail to slightly embed everything. Sometimes I'll just like let the Strong product kind of pool on my brush too, because then it's easier to place and move it where you want it. So you'll notice, especially with the gel polish mani, I'm not making this thick at all. Like I am doing such a thin layer. I'm keeping most of the product where like your stressed area would be, where if you're gonna get any breaks or anything, that's where you want it. This will give me something to file and buff and smooth out as well. These two nails, I feel like I got the glitter pretty good to the point where it's not too thick that I feel like I need to file. So I'm actually just gonna take some of my matte top coat. And the reason that I'm going in with a matte top coat before I go in with my artwork is because it's easier to, I find anyway, like especially something like this is lumpy and bumpy. If you try and stamp on this or do hand painted art on this, it is just going to be a disaster. You need some sort of smooth surface. But even if you're working on, say, a smooth gel polish like the white one, I just find it easier to do artwork on top of matte, whether it's stamping or whether it's hand painted art. But when I'm working with gel polish and I'm not typically embedding it, then I prefer to work on top of a matte surface, if that makes sense. So if you guys ever see me do a matte nail in a video and then go in and do shiny, that's the main reason that I'm doing it, is just so that I can work on top of like a smoother surface for my art. I really like the KoKo and Claire matte because it is like a velvet type of feel, and it's really easy to stamp on top of. It cures to attack free finish too, so it just works really well for different artwork, I find. KoKo and Claire has their own files and buffers as well. This one, you guys have clearly seen that I've used. I use this in like for these type of videos a lot of the time, and just kind of off screen. But I like this grit for working with gel polish manicures because it's softer. So the higher the numbers, the softer the grit's gonna be. They do have files that are 100, 182, which if I was working on hard gels with clients regularly, that's the type of file that I would use. But for gel polish manicures where you don't wanna take a lot off, this is the file that I would recommend. And then they also have buffers with the different grits on them too. I actually really like glitters matte like this. So I did go in and matte all of these just so that it's easier for me to file. And it's really, you guys, it's hard to file these kind of fake hands on camera. So just bear with me with that. What we're trying to do here is just take away some of this odd shaping that's over on the side here. I really don't like filing my fake hands like this because I don't want to ruin my hands. That's all I'm trying to do there. On top, if you've got any lumps and bumps, you can file them out, but I don't really see any on here. I'm gonna file a little bit of the free edge because it's got some chunkies that I'm not liking. A little bit here to straighten this out. Really don't need to do too much if you've applied your gel thin enough, and we don't have to add strength with long nails like this. And then I'm just gonna take my buffer, but I wanna take my 180 side. I don't want the 100 side. And I'm just gonna buff on top here. And then that way, if there's any lumps and bumps, I can buff them out. It also, you can get nice and close to the cuticle. I think buffers are completely underrated. Really all that you have to do for filing and buffing, you just wanna make it nice and smooth so you have a nice surface to do your art on. And then it's the same thing with this, because you don't overly have to worry about creating your shape and structure with such short nails. So one of my favorite patterns to do from ocean nails is mermaid scales. Now, Clear Jelly Stamper does not have like an actual mermaid scale plate. They have some mermaid plates, but there's not like a big scale pattern on it. So this plate is actually CJS 51, and I want to say this one's called Feeling Lacy. Oh yes, it is. I've got it labeled here. Feeling Lacy. On it, it's got this kind of pattern that to me looks like mermaid scales. And I like to use that as kind of an accent for the different nails. So I want to put that on my pinky here, which is why I decided to make this one blue. And then I want to do some ocean type of design on this one. This one I'm going to put some crystals on so I can show you guys how to put crystals on top of your gel polish manicures too. Image. There's something about this image with like on top of blue. I just love how it looks. Pull it off. So they do have this plate. It is a collab with Suzie from Nail Career Education. It's called Mermaids and Things. And it is a great like mermaid ocean type of plate. There are no mermaid scales on it though, which is why I tend to gravitate towards using that other one for mermaid scales. But as you guys can see, I've never used this plate because I actually don't know if I've done like a vacation themed set like this before. Okay, so I'm just looking at the image for the seahorse. It is 3, and you're gonna wanna line it up pretty good. So I'm gonna do the outline first. I like to do the outline first if there's an image that might be kind of tricky to line up. And I'm gonna take something like 93, which is a really, really light white. And that's what I'm gonna do my outline in. And that way when I start to cover everything up, it's not gonna show too much. Whereas if I was to do like a black or something, it would totally show. I usually just use my thumb to take out all the images of what I don't want. It's gonna be really, really, really tricky to see with all that blue around it, but you're the only one that needs to see it. Okay, so what color do I want my seahorse to be? I think I want him to be, let's do a quick Google search and see what color seahorses are. Because I was gonna, oh, look at this one. That one's kind of pretty. It's like a rainbow seahorse. I was gonna say like gold and white. So this is 84. It is kind of like a vanilla bean color, one of my top ones. This is another one of my top one, number 51. It's like my favorite gold. And this is where you have your outline, so you can actually see where to line everything up. And there we go. And again, this is where it comes in handy to stamp your outline first. Like that. And then we go back in and do our outline again. I just love the black. It actually makes that vanilla bean type of shade color pop a little bit more too. So we're gonna stick with the black. Bougie chrome. I actually don't know if I've ever used this with chrome stamping, so I'm excited for it. But it's got kind of like a pearly finish to it, so I want to use that. I should have done this for the seahorse These ones over here along the edge for stamping plates, they're a little tricky because they have this lip here, so sometimes it can be hard to get your scraper in there. And also these really finely etched ones can be really tricky to work with. So okay, white sticky polish. Okay, first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that your plate is like super clean. I just use acetone on it, but I know Claire Deli has plate cleaner. Kind of bronzy brown. This is another one of my favorites. I want to say it's number 60, not 90. And then another thing, if you're finding it hard to pick up with your stamper, just clean it off. And I like to use the Claire Deli stamper sticky pads, and then it almost like reactivates the sticky on them, and you can pull your images a little bit easier. And I also pool my polish, that way I've got more than enough in there. Great. Immediately pick up. There we go. That's what I wanted. And then just stamp down. And also hold. Let it hold there for a little bit, especially if it's like a finely etched image like that. Then it'll transfer a bit better too. And there's our little hidden seashell. I have two different crystal colors in here. There's aquamarine and blue zircon, which is a little bit darker. I do have a video up about how I apply crystals. Everything is still relevant. The only difference with working with gel polish is, well, it's not really even a difference. I do prefer to do my crystals on top of a matte coat or a buffed surface as well, because I find the glue just sticks a little bit better and the crystals hold better too. So I do that first, and then I'm gonna go in and do my top coat so that the top coat kind of surrounds the crystals a little bit, but it's basically the same type of technique. If you go in and do your crystals right on top of your gel polish layer before you top coat, if you're using genuine crystals, more likely they will come off, but having your glue stick to the matte surface seems to hold them a little bit better. Gel polish mani, so I don't want to use too many big crystals on here. Just like a little accent here. And this glue that I use dries super, super quick, so you want to move like immediately where you want them. I also really like doing this type of design for vacation nails, summer nails, like it's a really fun summer design. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have any other questions about how to work with glitter gel polishes, such as these ones from KoKo and Claire, comment below and let me know, and I will gladly help you out with it. Comment below and let me know what sort of summer themed nail tutorials you guys would like to see. Make sure you're following me on all my social media, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!